What's up, everybody? Subaru fan here for another weekly update in the Mustang. So, what's new with it? Well, it's past 6,000 miles now, so it's doing well here. I'm going to do another quick little road trip next week and put some more miles on it then. In the meantime, it's going to be resting, though, because I do have a Honda Ridgeline as a press vehicle this week that I'll be driving, which is good because we'll be getting some snow here. And I know I will be driving this in snow eventually. I'm sure February will be very snowy, and I'll be able to drive it plenty then. But it'll be nice to give it a break here and drive a truck around for the next week. So that's my first Honda press vehicle as well, so I'm very excited about that, and hopefully that will lead to other more exciting Honda press vehicles down the road as well, such as, you know, the Civic Si and Type R, hopefully, fingers crossed. And so, but yeah, so that's it as far as the Mustang is concerned. Other things, though, I want to mention, Mustang related. The first is that I got a bunch of people sending me messages yesterday and the day before about these Euro crash tests that were done on the European Mustangs, and they got 2 stars out of 5, and they're saying how horrible they were, and everyone's freaking out saying, oh my gosh, it's such a dangerous car, like, you need to hurry up and, like, you know, be careful with it, like, don't crash. I mean, as many of you know, I already was in an accident with this car, and I mean, although that was just a motorcycle hitting me, you know, and it wasn't like a car-to-car collision, it still was a pretty hard hit. You know, the guy hit me about 50 miles per hour. The door held up very well, didn't even cave in or anything. The car protected me and my wife very well. And I also have a friend that actually was hit by a drunk driver, Car Guy 11. Many of you follow him. He was hit by a drunk driver whenever his GT was brand new. It was totaled because it was hit on the highway at highway speeds. The car rolled and everything else, and he escaped with very, very, very minor injuries. So, I mean, I am fully convinced that the 2015 and up Mustangs are very safe cars. The main things that the European crash tests focus on are really strange. You know, they highly value all this autonomous braking and pedestrian detection warnings and all these things, basically all the technology that makes it sure that, you know, the driver doesn't have to worry about this stuff, you know, automatic braking. As far as actual collision performance goes, it did very well still. It's just, they said that for some reason the rear child seat restraints weren't good in the back there, and so the kids flew under the seat or something weird like that. But other than that, I mean, everything was really good. And the funny thing is, the US IIHS impact tests are much more challenging, because it was basically just they rammed in the European ones, they just rammed the car into a wall, which any car these days does well in that kind of a crash, you know, rear-ending kind of situations. And then they did a somewhat small overlap test, but I think it still hit like 40% of the front end, which isn't very challenging, honestly, for modern cars. Once again, the IIHS test here in the States just hit a very small sliver of the front end, and it's very challenging, you know, to reinforce those corners, but that's where a lot of accidents happen. You know, someone crosses over the double yellow just very briefly, and it's just the edges of those 2 cars that have a head-on collision, and that's how people lose legs and die, because it's just so little the car is protected. And in those tests, the Mustang did acceptable. It wasn't good, but that's the only thing that kept it from being that and the lack of automatic braking are the 2 things that kept it from being an IIHS top safety pick. It's that close. Everything else was good ratings, 5 stars all around, and even the acceptable rating is still very good, considering a lot of other cars don't even do that well. The Dodge Challenger, for example, was a poor rating in the small overlap, and the Camaro was the only one that I think was a good in the small overlap. So yes, I am not concerned in the slightest. I am fully convinced that the Mustang is a very safe car. It's proven itself to me personally, to friends of mine, and in all the government tests that are done here in the States. Like I said, some of which are even more challenging than the European tests. So no, the Mustang is not an unsafe car. Don't believe all the hype and all the clickbait stories to try and get everyone freaked out. It couldn't be further from the truth. This Mustang is the safest one they've ever made, and a very, very safe car, and safer than a lot of other sporty vehicles out there. So yes, just got to give it credit where it's due. Moving on from that, though, I did go to the Barrett-Jackson auction this past weekend, thanks to Shell and Pennzoil, and I will be posting a video of, you know, the trip, and it's going to be oil related as well, since it is a sponsored video. But I decided not to do a vlog while I was there because, one, it was extremely noisy and you wouldn't have been able to hear me anyway, and two, it was just very chaotic, and trying to film things, and there there's a lot of people around, so you couldn't even get clear shots of a lot of cars and things like that. So I may still assemble a little video of what it's like to be there, but you know, it wasn't very good for vlogging. I'm not much of a vlogger anyway, so I decided to forego that. But I still may do a small little video about Barrett-Jackson if you know, you guys want to see it. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you want to see that video, and I will, you know, piece together a little video of what it was like to be there. But while I was at Barrett-Jackson, by the way, I love classic cars, and that was really the focus of that, you know, show. Is it's mostly classics. But one cool thing is they did have a couple modern Mustangs that had been modified, and they had one that I actually found, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. They had a Mustang that had the louvers, the quarter window louvers that I was considering and I talked about last week. So I got to check them out in person and actually look through that quarter window to see how the visibility is. And, there's a few different designs for quarter window louvers that they have for the, you know, S550 Mustangs here. And some of the ones that I like the most have very poor visibility, but I do like some of the other ones that do have better visibility. So I'm going to compromise, I think, and there's a good reason why as well, which I'll get to in a minute. But anyway, the louvers that I was looking at, you can see pictures of them here. You can see out of that window decently still, and it still is, you know, you can make out what's going on outside of that window through the louver. And so because of that, I think it's going to be, it's going to work out. And I love the look of the louvers still, so I think I'm definitely going to go forward with getting louvers. I think the visibility is going to be fine. I'll be able to live with it. I do have blind spot monitoring as well. Not that I rely on that all the time, but you know, that will also be an extra safety precaution in the event that, you know, I can't see very well out of it for whatever reason in some circumstances. So yeah, but another reason why I'm excited about that is actually a viewer who watched last week's weekly update where I was talking about the quarter window louvers. He, I guess, has traded in his Mustang that was also a guard, and he had quarter window louvers that were given to him as a gift, and he just offered them to me. And so he's going to be sending me those as well, as long as, you know, everything goes according to plan. He'll be sending me those, so they'll already be paint matched. They do have a couple of paint imperfections, bubbles and things that I may get them repainted, but they're already paint matched guard, and they're the louvers that I was interested in, the same exact ones I saw at Barrett-Jackson, and so it's just a funny coincidence, and just worked out perfectly. So thanks to him, hopefully I will be putting those louvers on here in the springtime once it gets warmer and stuff, but I'm really excited about that. It'll be a nice little mod to, you know, differentiate mine from all the other guard Mustangs out there. So huge thanks to him for so generously offering those to me. But yeah, so that's it as far as all the updates on the Mustang, guys. So I'll send it back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is this past week, the 2018 Mustang Convertible was also revealed. There's only 2 images of it officially that Ford has posted out. And yeah, I mean, looks actually a little bit better here, at least with the lighting and the coloring and stuff of this one. And the 2018 Mustang continues to grow on me here. Still don't want one, but I think it certainly does look better here and does look good in convertible form. So cool to see that. Another thing from last week, you know, every week there's new Dodge Demon teasers here for the new Challenger variant that's going to be faster than all the rest. And so this week, the teaser video involves a burnout and shows off the wide body back end of the Challenger here. It's going to have these very wide fender flares that actually add 3.5 inches of width to the body of a standard Challenger, and it has drag tires that are massive, and they're just barely street legal, but they are street legal, but they're they're pretty intense. So they're mounted on lightweight 18 by 11 inch wheels. They're special Demon branded Nitto NT05R tires that are 315 wide at all 4 corners, and that I think actually sets a record for the widest front tire. And I think that actually the previous record holder was the old Camaro Z28, which had 305s, but now 315s in the front, which means this thing should actually handle pretty well as well. And so now people are making jokes that they're only doing it at all 4 corners, so that whenever you burn off the rear tires in a drag race, you can swap the fronts onto the rear and then keep going. But either way, very impressive 18-inch wheels it's going to have, and yeah, it's going to be the first production car to come equipped from the factory with drag radials, according to Dodge. And also in the back there, you'll see that it has a weird license plate that says hashtag 2576@35, and people are trying to figure out what that is coded to mean. A couple of the theories that I've seen so far is that it could be taken as 35% of 2,576, which would be 901, which could be the horsepower output. Another person multiplied 2576 times 35, and that gets you around like $90,000. It could be a price tag, although that sounds very high. I think honestly the 901 horsepower is more likely, although that also sounds high. The highest I had heard rumor-wise for the Demon was 850. Remember, the Hellcat has 707 and is already a beast. So, I mean, anything over that should be sufficient. But because remember, this car is going to weigh 200 pounds less than the Hellcat. So, very interesting, though, to hear that. Of course, now the car is going to be unveiled officially at the New York Auto Show in March. But actually, Vin Diesel accidentally revealed what the front end looks like in a Facebook video that he posted up this week when they were wrapping up Fast and Furious 8, because I guess this Demon is going to be playing a role in the new Fast and Furious movie this spring. And so he was doing a video, and they're just hanging out in the background with these silver demons. It has a very large hood scoop and does match the profile of what we've been seeing in the teaser. So that is most likely it. A little bit of a buzzkill there, but I mean, we knew it's going to be a Challenger and look like a Challenger already, so nothing spoiled too much. And so yeah, but cool to see that. And yeah, should be one heck of a car, and we'll see what next week's teaser reveals. Another thing that was actually revealed officially is Ford officially announced the GT supercars horsepower, torque, and top speed. So it's going to officially have 647 horsepower from its 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. It's going to have 550 pound-feet of torque, which is actually lower than I was expecting, but that's what it is. And the top speed is going to be 216 miles per hour, which is a very good top speed, and right up there with the Aventador and stuff like that. And they also are claiming, apparently they took it around a racetrack near where this is built, which is in Ottawa, Canada. And there's some Canadian racetrack out there that's not very well known, but they ran it against a Ferrari 458 Speciale and a McLaren 675 LT, and it was faster than both. It was 3.1 seconds faster than the 458 Speciale, and then 1 second faster than the 675 LT. Now, I think this is with Ford drivers driving as well. So yeah, cool to see that, and we'll see how long it remains as one of these top players as far as track times go, because the Ford has said they're going to be taking around the Nürburgring and all this other stuff. But another vehicle that we got some details on this week that's going to be shown in the Geneva Auto Show here in March is the Huracan Performante, which is the Superleggera version of the Huracan, but they're not calling it the Superleggera, they're calling it the Performante for some reason. But that's what it's going to be called, and it's going to get all kinds of improvements. We've seen this thing spied numerous times already. But we're getting some more details on it thanks to, I guess, Motor Trend actually drove a prototype of this vehicle, and they kind of hinted at some stuff. This car is going to have a new active aero system that's going to be, the abbreviation is ALA, but that stands for Aerodynamica Lamborghini Attiva, which is an active aero system, and with the help of that aero system, they say it's going to potentially be the fastest Lamborghini ever, and that means faster than the Aventador SV even. So the little brother being faster than the top dog is going to be pretty crazy. They say it actually could be faster than a Porsche 918 Spyder. Now that's just hypothetical at this point, but apparently this car, the reason why they're saying that is because some people know this car's Nürburgring time for this new Huracan, and they say that it's going to beat all these other vehicles as far as lap times around the Nürburgring go. So yeah, very impressive. The ring time they're saying will probably be announced at the Geneva Auto Show as well whenever the car is fully revealed. A little more details that Motor Trend provided about this aerodynamic system is that it's going to be able to kind of vector the air so that whenever I guess this spoiler is going to have electric little motors that will move it around much like an aircraft or something like that. And so it's going to open and close flaps on either side of the rear wing, and that'll help to give it the exact amount of downforce it needs. They also are going to be tuning the 5.2 liter V10 engine. It's going to have about 30 more horsepower. It's going to weigh about 90 pounds less. The whole car is total, and it's also going to have, of course, upgrades to the suspension, stickier tires, retuning, everything, all that kind of stuff. So very impressive to see that, and can't wait to see it fully revealed here in March. Another thing that who knows, hopefully we'll see it maybe at the Geneva Auto Show, maybe later, but that is the new Toyota Supra that was spied once again. A little bit less camouflage this time, but the interesting thing is the spy photographer said there was 2 variants out running around, and one of them was running completely silent, which basically confirms that there will most likely be a hybrid version that can drive on fully electric power alone, much like the NSX and some of these other higher-end, hypercars. So, with Toyota's, technology with hybrids and whatnot, this isn't much of a surprise. Now, there will most likely be non-hybrid versions as well, so, don't get your pitchforks ready just yet. But, pretty exciting to see that. The only thing, though, is the more spy shots of this car I see, the more stumpy it looks. I mean, it's based on the BMW Z5. They're kind of partnering up with BMW on this, so I guess they can't make it super long, but it does look a little crunched up to me. I'm not sure. Hopefully it'll look better without all the camouflage on. We still aren't seeing production headlights or taillights or anything like that, I don't think. But yeah, so interesting to see that running around. Its sibling, the BMW Z5, was also spied running around. Now that's going to have a convertible and be a soft top. We are fairly confident that they're going to obviously have completely different bodies. The BMW is going to be only convertible, and then the Supra is going to be only hardtop. And they may use different engines as well. There's rumors that the Supra could use the new twin-turbo Lexus V6 versus the BMW just sticking with BMW engines, but that still all remains to be seen. But anyway, so both of them were spied running around, and the Z5 looks a lot more classic and does look very sleek as well, so cool to see that. The next news is just a rumor, but if it's true, it's going to be sacrilege for every import fan out there. And that is that Mitsubishi has teased a new compact crossover concept that's going to be revealed at Geneva. It's going to probably be going on sale next year here in the States. And it's going to slot between the Outlander Sport and the larger Outlander and be kind of a coupier SUV, much like all the others. And, Mitsubishi wants to be right there in the thick of it. And so they're going to be launching this new vehicle. But the bad news is the rumor about what this thing's going to be called. There's rumors they're going to be reviving the Eclipse name, and this crossover you're looking at here will be called the new Mitsubishi Eclipse. And I know that's going to make a lot of people fall out of their chairs just hearing that, and hopefully it's not true. I really hope they wouldn't, use a cool coupe and put it on, that nameplate on an SUV, because that would really be sad. And I mean, between the end of the Evo, the end of the Lancer, the Eclipse been dead for a while now, and basically Mitsubishi has only crossovers aside from the Mirage now. Mitsubishi's just going to be a shell of what it once was, and really not relevant to enthusiasts at all anymore, sadly. So yes, that's just a rumor. We'll keep our fingers crossed they name it something else, like the Outlander X or something like that. But in the meantime, that is the rumor. So, but it does look like a good little crossover, as far as crossovers go. It looks angular and aggressive and sleek. So we'll have to wait and see. They're going to be revealing that at the Geneva Motor Show as well in March. So lots of stuff being revealed in March. Another thing it's also going to be revealed at the Geneva Auto Show in March is the new production Subaru Crosstrek. Now it's going to be based on the all-new Impreza that, has been out for a few months now. And, we just have one teaser shot of it here as well. And it does look much like, the wagon version of the Impreza, just a little more aggressive here. And, should be a fairly good-looking thing, because the Crosstrek is now the 3rd best-selling vehicle in the Subaru lineup behind the Forester and Outback. So they definitely want to make sure they get the looks right, and hopefully it'll continue to sell well for them. So cool to see that. Tesla this past week quietly revealed a new version of the Model S and the Model X, and that is the 100D. So, we have already seen the P100D, which is the high-performance one that does 0 to 60 in like 2.4 seconds or whatever, and is, crazy expensive and all that. But the big difference here is now when you get rid of the performance thing, it's just the 100D, it gives you a lot more range. So now it's going to have 335 miles of range for the Model S. The Model X is now 295 miles of range there. And it gets even better if you don't care about performance, because it's much cheaper for the 100D over the P100D. So it's going to be $39,500 cheaper for the sedan and $37,000 cheaper for the Model X. And so, the 100D is actually only $3,000 more expensive than a 90D, which leads a lot of people to think that most likely the 90D will be phased out, because you'd have to be out of your mind to not want to spend an extra $3,000 to get 41 extra miles of range. It's looking like the 90D may eventually get killed off here, and that would probably help with cost saving measures, you know, just streamlining production with lots of 100Ds, and that's it. Because the 0 to 60 time is the same as the 90D, 4.2 seconds for the Model S and 4.8 seconds for the Model X. And 4.2 seconds in a sedan, you know, most of these people that buy electric cars don't care about acceleration times anyway, so the P100D was kind of an exercise in futility, honestly. So I think this is going to be the hot seller and should really help boost Tesla sales as well by being, you know, nearly 40 grand cheaper and also, you know, having better range and still being plenty quick. I think that's the one to get in the Tesla range. And so yeah, other Tesla news is they also rolled out a new Autopilot update this past week, and some of the enhancements to it are that it now handles windy roads better with Autopilot, and, you know, especially on the highways and things like that, it can negotiate corners better, which is one thing that was a sore spot with the Autopilots in the past. Other things is that the new summon feature that, you know, used to only be able to drive forwards and backwards in a straight line to pull out of parking spots and garages. Now they have enabled it so that it can negotiate corners as well. So, you know, I guess driveways that have, you know, curves in them and things like that, it'll be able to get out of those. In addition, it'll probably eventually be able to find parking better, obviously, if it can make corners and turns better, things like that. But for now, it's just mostly the better Autopilot and the better summons feature. So very cool to see that. And the last story this week is that Audi has officially priced the 2017 Audi R8 Spyder finally. It's been almost a year since the coupe was, you know, the pricing was announced, but they were kind of delayed with their rollout of the Spyders, but it still is a 2017 model year vehicle, and it's going to be starting at only $176,350. And I say only because of the bargain that this is compared to the Huracan Spyder. And you might have seen my Instagram post this past week where I was saying how I would actually prefer this over a Huracan. I think the Huracan's a little chunky in its I guess second half, you know, the back half of it, you know, and where the R8 Spyder looks so much sleeker to me, and a lot leaner. And again, that's just my personal take on it. But in addition to that leaner looking body, you're saving a ton of money. Actually, the Huracan Spyder is $267,545 for its starting price. So the Huracan Spyder is $91,000 cheaper, and you're getting a lot of the same car. Now, granted, the R8 Spyder doesn't have as much horsepower. I think they make 540 horsepower versus the 602 of the Huracan Spyder. And so, you know, it's a little bit slower. I think it's a tenth of a second slower to 60 at only, I think, 3.5 seconds versus 3.4 for the Huracan Spyder. So, yeah, but $91,000, you still get the same 5.2 liter V10 that sounds glorious. You still get very nice looks, very nice interior, and most of the same performance. I mean, a tenth of a second, who cares? For $91,000 cheaper. I personally would definitely pick this. It's an easy choice whenever you know, put it in that context. And they will be announcing pricing at a later date for the V10 Plus model of the R8, which does get you 610 horsepower, so even more horsepower than the standard Huracan Spyder. And that model, you know, is going to be probably at least, you know, 50 to 60 grand less still than a base Huracan. So no matter which way you look at it, the R8 is a bargain as far as supercars go. And so yeah, very cool to see that priced, and hopefully that helps Audi to sell a lot of them, because I think it's very underrated these days, actually. And so yeah, but that's it for all the news this week, guys. So I'll send it back to me in the car. Alrighty, so I'll leave you guys with a nice little acceleration here, second gear pull, like I always do. Lots of wheel spin. But there we go, gripping, and yeah, lots of fun. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.